Welcome back to Close Up. He's the governor of Washington state, and he wants to make climate change a central issue in the 2020 race for president. Whether he'll be running in that contest is still to be determined, but Governor Jay Inslee joins us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Close Up. We appreciate it.
Beautiful day.
Absolutely.
Gorgeous.
So take us through the decision-making process. This could be an epic Democratic field. How do you know if it's right time for you to run for president of the United States?
Well, as you indicated, I fundamentally believe that we need a leader in the White House who will lead this country in a mission of defeating climate change and really having an economic growth strategy that is wrapped around that central pole in the tent. Because I believe it is a central economic ability of our nation to lead the world in a clean energy transformation, to break our addiction to fossil fuels, and that this is the greatest job creation opportunity that we have in the United States. So I'm very optimistic and bullish about our ability to do that. But we do need a leader to rally the country, like John F. Kennedy did when he rallied the country and he said we're going to the moon in 10 years, and we did it, like we rallied the country against fascism. I think we need the same rallying call to the nation to embrace our entrepreneurial and innovative talents in this tremendous challenge. And we have many things we'd like to get done in our country, and I've got a lot of them done in my state with voting rights and paid family leave and a big transportation package. But this issue really is so urgent, we have only one chance to save the nation from this imminent threat. And we got to get going on this. So I'm dedicated one way or another to have a candidate to do that.
You said the threat is so urgent that you want to try and work around a lot of the debates that have been going on here. The idea of a carbon tax, for example. You've said that, well, you've said that's a good idea in the past. You need to find ways to get the job done now rather than get stuck in the political debate. What are those ideas that can get around things, that the sort of the normal blocking and tackling of combating climate change?
Well, fortunately, we have all kinds of tools in our toolbox to defeat climate change, and they all revolve around giving Americans additional new technologies and products to allow them to lead healthy lives with reasonably priced electricity and energy. We know we can do that because we're doing it. The most rapidly growing job creation is in clean energy. Clean energy jobs are now growing twice as fast as jobs in the rest of the economy. And the kind of things that we can do to spur that are the kind of things we're doing in our state. A 100% clean grid, so we take fossil fuels out of our electrical grid. A clean energy fuel standard, so we insist on cleaner fuels for our cars and trucks and buses. A way to incentivize and help consumers get reasonably priced solar panels and the like. A measure to build more energy efficient homes. Certainly on a day like today, we know we want to be heating our homes, not the outside world. So building what are called net zero homes and commercial things is very, very successful. These suite of tools I hope to embrace in my state, together with what we've already done. We're leading in the deployment of electric cars and electric buses. We're going to build electric ferries in my state. We've got a $100 million fund that have helped businesses grow. And businesses are growing like crazy in my state, all across my state, in carbon fiber and electric cars and solar panels and biofuels. It's really exciting to be governor of a state that has shown the way for the nation to build a clean energy economy. And we got the best economy in America. I can say that with some pride, that we have the greatest GDP growth and job growth. So this is a record of success that I think we can show the way for an optimistic nation.
No doubt some big-time companies there in Washington. Certainly climate change is a major foreign policy issue, but setting that aside, what do you see as the #1 foreign policy threat to the United States?
Well, there are many short-term ones. Frequently, they're driven by climate change because we've seen the destabilization of the Horn of Africa driven by desertification associated with climate change. This has created a national security threat to the United States, and the most credible force saying that is the Pentagon. They've done an assessment, and they've looked at climate change as a major national security threat to the United States. It has already caused mass migrations, which has destabilized parts of Europe. We've seen that. So this is one of the long-term threats. The short-term threats, obviously, are trying to find a way to denuclearize North Korea in reality rather than just presidential rhetoric, to find some stability in the Mideast to reduce the level of violence, to reduce the threat of ISIS. Those are the short-term things, and they require tough judgments, and I feel capable of making those tough judgments, and one of which I have been voted against the Iraq War because I fundamentally believed it was a mistake. And I think I've shown judgment in that regard.
Certainly in the Northwest, it's almost like you have to have a foreign policy in miniature if you're governing in a state out there, because China and Asia are such huge trading partners. What is Washington getting wrong right now about the relationship with China?
Well, I think it's been based, like much of the president's foreign policy, on bumper stickers and trying to please Ann Coulter rather than the really future of the United States. We've seen that attitude on insisting on a wall and be willing to have Coast Guard people not getting paid to save us right now. People who are, in my state, trying to train to fight forest fires, but we can't train them right now because they're not getting paid. And to make decisions based on sort of political grandstanding rather than reality is very disturbing, and that has been the case as well in some of our trade relationships. It is clear that we have to have a new relationship with China that will be based on a fair principle. But to just shoot your nose in spite of your face has happened, and we have lost enormous benefits in my state because of some of these trade policies. We've been shut out of agricultural markets. We are a huge agricultural exporting state. We've lost hundreds of millions of dollars already because we've lost access for markets. We can't sell our cherries right now at all in China. That is a threat to many of our other agricultural products, and that is the risk of spreading. And I think the concern we all ought to have is the instability that has been caused by the president's narcissism and political posturing is now threatening our economy and the world economy. We're starting to see the indications of that. So this is a time of, we hope that we should insist that Republican senators rein in this rogue president. They need to stand up on that.
I guess a key question for Democrats, though, how do you defeat Donald Trump in 2020?
Successfully. And you stand on principles of long American values, which is optimism and confidence rather than fear. He is a fearful person who has based his administration based on anxiety and fear. And that is a person who seeks to divide us rather than unite us, who seeks to ignore science rather than to follow science, who seeks to spread antagonism rather than unity. And I think that you see this in multiple platforms. What he's done on refugees, I was one of the first governors to stand up against the Muslim ban. What he has done in science, to ignore science of climate change. We're the most technologically oriented nation on earth. To have a president who has so willfully stood up against clear science is not consistent with what we are as a people, which are smart people who understand science, who believe in the future in this country, and are optimistic. Look, we're a can-do country. We know we can defeat climate change. He's afraid that we can't. And it's time to have somebody with a little more courage in the White House rather than fear, and I think that's what we need.
One of the questions people are asking here, when you're the head of the Democratic Governors Association, why didn't you give more help to Molly Kelly? You caught some heat from the party chairman here. Explain your decision not to play here in New Hampshire.
Well, I had a really good discussion with Ray about this today, the party chair, and I love Molly Kelly. She's just a dear person, and I wish she could have succeeded. The Democratic governors had to make some really tough decisions. We had limited resources. We were outspent. Even though we increased our financing by 30% while I was chair, we had to make some tough decisions. Now, those decisions did result in the largest haul of Democratic governors in the last 36 years. We flipped 7 seats from red to blue. This was a very successful year. We were able to have enough resources to be investing in this race, and it was based on an objective assessment. And I know people have asked me, you know, why, knowing that I might be in a presidential primary, I didn't, you know, insist and make sure money did not come here. And the reason is we felt that our obligation was to the nation and to elect Democratic governors rather than the political sort of benefit of any particular politician, myself included. So I had a good discussion with Ray. I think that relationship is going to be positive, and I'm looking forward to helping Democrats up and down everywhere I can in New Hampshire.
All right. Governor Jay Inslee, we thank you for your time.
You bet.
Hope to see you back here.
Thank you.